All right, gang. I got the recording going, and I'm excited about our guest. I had Jerra on our webinar, a while ago. She talked about her fast start, and it's like that's one of my most hit videos. And talking about getting out the gate fast because she did like some crazy 30,000 her first month, and now she's like killing it. She's been killing a while. I mean, you guys seen her on the issue paid leaderboard for a hierarchy, and she's consistently in the top 10. Talking about Jerra Gonzales from Albuquerque, New Mexico. So Jerra, they see her name every week when I show the issue paid leaderboard for the hierarchy. So they're very familiar with your name, and a lot of people have not had a chance to see you unless they've seen the video. Chance to see you, and I had Jeremy Patton on a few days ago, and he talked, about selling the $11 leads. And so I'm excited to bring you on to talk about the 40/40 program. I sent out your Facebook message about your post about what you did, your record week. Was that last week, I think, right?
It was last week.
Last week. And you just like, and then, she was calling me to find out Jeannie's phone number. She wanted to wish Jeannie a happy birthday because they both share the same birthday, which I did not know. So March 3rd is Jerra Gonzales' birthday. She turned 26, and we are just so excited that she's with us. Anyway,
right,
Jerra,
exactly.
I know you only have about half hour, so I just really want you to tell us what you're doing. Tell us, like briefly, when you first got started, talk briefly about what happened. Like, you just got out the gate quick. What motivated you to get out the gate? And it seemed like you just chose to believe what Leventovich was telling you about, running leads and calling.
That's right. Well, first, Alex, I just want to say thank you for having me on your call. I don't take it lightly. I'm very honored. And I guess when I first started with the Alliance, in fact, it was about 3 years ago, because I was telling Joe Dukes just the other day that the first day that I ever ran, my first day of appointments was actually on my birthday 3 years ago.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember there was one client that was like, so how long have you been doing this? And I'm like, well, today's my first day. Because it was like, and today's my birthday. And so I hit my 3-year mark just yesterday. So that was exciting. But I think the biggest thing, Alex, is that I chose to associate. So one of the biggest things that I think got me out of the gate swinging when I first started with the Alliance was I went to every single meeting, conference call, anything that I could do to associate and fill my mind with positivity, I did. The TWC, any team calls that I could be on, any in-person meetings like hotspots or national convention. I think that really, really makes a difference because you're able to associate with people, learn from top producers, little tidbits, even just on a conference call, one little thing that, could just change your business. So I think that was really big. And then just staying consistent with activity, dialing every single week, investing in leads every single week. And then now with this 40/40, really focusing not only on selling, but also making an effort to recruit and be more conscious of talking to people, hiring in the home across the table, talking to people as I'm out and about. I hired a guy at Dollar Tree the other day that he led me to find something that I was looking for. And I'm like, hey, how long you been working here? So just being intentional about starting to talk to people and recruit as well.
Yeah, that's so important, what you said about association. The people that have gone to the boot camps that Andy's doing, I've heard nothing but praise. And today they're going to be in Cleveland, then tomorrow I'll be in Indianapolis with the gang. And you're so right about that. It's so important to get around other people face to face, mask to mask, whatever the case may be. So what turns you on about the 40/40 Like, had you ever booked 40 appointments before we had the 40 program? Like before Leventovich was emphasizing doing 40 appointments. Had you ever done 40 before?
So I think the first that I had encountered the idea of 40 appointments was with Paul Menachino. He was the one that really kind of started that because he stepped out and said, what's the most that I can do? And we actually had him on one of our team calls, and he challenged all of us like, okay, who else is going to join me in pushing forward, pushing ourselves a little bit and booking 40 appointments. So I think before it became kind of a consistent thing with the Alliance, I started doing that when Paul Menachino challenged me a few months ago. So I've been doing the 40, pretty consistently since the beginning of the year, I would say, it as on the appointment side. Now I really started, within the last couple months, also trying to focus on the recruiting side of that too.
Yeah.
Because that, it's what we do. One thing, sell, recruit, and build.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I love how Andy tricks us into making money, like get a hoodie, by
40 hoodie.
40. And I think that's another big part of it too, is just trying to invest in my business as far as like spending my time doing what I do best, dialing, booking appointments, recruiting people. I have an assistant that I've hired to help me, and that's made a big difference because I'm not spending all of my time working on pending business and all of that stuff. She helps me. My job is to talk to people, recruiting and booking appointments, selling and helping families. That's my job. And then the rest she helps me with. And that was when I came out of the gate swinging my first month when I wrote 30,000. That was the first thing that Andy told me was, you need to hire a secretary,
Absolutely. He's big on getting support. It's like, if you don't hire a secretary, and then you are secretary. And so do you want to keep doing 10, 15 hour, an hour work, or do you want to keep doing the $500 an hour work that we do when we're selling and recruiting and building? And that
Right.
becomes an easy trade-off. It's kind of like a water filter. If you don't have a water filter system in your house, then you are a water filter system. Same thing about admin support. So in this mode of booking 40 appointments, you adhere to the Monday, Thursday dial days, and then you book 10 appointments on Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. Is that right?
Correct. I dial Monday to book appointments for Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I dial again Thursday to book for Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday's my family day.
Yep. And so tell us about your lead investment to generate 40 appointments. Are all 40 appointments pure leads, or are you getting referrals? Are you getting old leads? Like, what is your kind of mix and so on?
So what I'll tell you, Alex, is everything works a little bit. So
Yep.
I'm doing a little bit of everything. There's not one thing that works 100%. So I have a GMR, which means I have leads coming in consistently every single week, new leads. And then I'm also, getting referrals in every single home. I'm going back to current clients, as policies are getting issued, to go back and deliver the policy and see how there's other ways that I might be able to, help them with secondary sales or, recruit across the table. So I'm doing a little bit of everything as far as leads go. GMR, if maybe my GMR doesn't fill every single week, I might supplement with some Mail Pro leads or some of the new internet leads that NAA has now. But just making sure that I have enough leads. And if for some reason I don't have enough leads for the week, I'll reach out to my upline and say, hey, do we have any orphan clients out there that I can help? Just always reaching up and asking to make sure that you've got enough, tools to be able to hit my goal. So as far as lead investment right now, I would say I'm averaging about $1,000 a week on leads.
Yep, that's
And
about Right.
in conjunction with, um, you know, current clients, referrals, and everything. So the way that I look at that, Alex, is like last week, for example, in the post that I shared, I made 353 dials, connected with 79 people. I booked 51 appointments, sat 33, and I wrote 21 apps for 23,664. So if I look at the amount of money that I'm making from last week, let's call it 17,000. So if I divide 17,000 by 353 dials, that means I got paid $48 for every single time that I dialed the phone.
I love it. Yeah, it is a real thing, gang. The amount of money you make per dial. Out of 33 that you said, how many actual of those produced the 21 apps? Was it half of them?
So I helped 15 families.
Okay,
So
yeah.
some of that was multiple apps in a home, but it
Yep.
was 15 families that
Yeah.
I helped.
And that's what I would have anticipated. I mean, because the numbers are very consistent. What's funny, Jerra, is that some agents will spend $1,000 in a month and they'll book, maybe 10 appointments, 10 to 12 appointments a week. And, they might have exactly your same numbers, except they did it, well, actually, probably not as good numbers. And they did it in a whole 4 weeks instead of 1 week. Is this the most appointments you've ever booked in a week?
I think so, yeah. It is. And the thing is too, like, my goal is not a certain number of dials. My goal is the amount of appointments.
That's
So
right.
my goal is to consistently book at least 40 appointments a week. Sometimes it takes me 100 dials. Sometimes it takes me 500 dials. It depends on the leads, on, how many people you're connecting with. But just staying focused on, okay, my goal is to book my 40. And this last week I overshot that a little bit and it did pay off, but it's a numbers game. If I'm only booking 10 appointments, I'm only giving myself, 10 opportunities. But if I give myself 50 opportunities, obviously I increase my chances to help families and close deals and be successful as far as, writing business.
Yeah, Jeremy Patton said exactly the same thing. What's great, I love about what you're saying, having you back to back with Jeremy, is that you both are saying the same things in different ways, but it still comes down to giving yourself enough shots on goal. And he used the analogy of shooting basketballs out of basket, at a hoop. It's the same kind of thing. And I bet you have more confidence knowing that it's going to be a good week when you have 40 appointments versus 5, right?
Oh, absolutely. Because if I have one day, I mean, I've had days where, I've got 10 appointments booked in that one day and I don't help any families, but it's like, okay, pick yourself up, still got, a couple more days of appointments. So, you know what I mean? So if you're going to have days like that. We all have days like that, all of us, it happens. But you have to give yourself enough opportunities, fueling leads, and start with where you're at. I mean, when I first started, I did not, I started with all I could, like my first week, all I could invest was $50. And I started there and I reached up and asked for help, hey, can y'all help me out with some leads? Start with where you're at and then reinvest, but the most important thing is putting in the activity, you know, to get those dials, the appointments, and then reaching up and asking for help. Because if you're putting in the work and you're making the effort, your upline will help you. They're going to invest in the people that are putting in the activity and making the effort. So if you do that, you'll have that support. So it's just a matter of stepping up, putting in the activity, and making it happen.
Yeah, leads don't book themselves. So the magic isn't, investing $1,000 a week. The magic is investing $1,000 a week and making the dials to produce the results that investment will yield. And I think that's the thing that people need to hear is that, man, you had a record week last week, but you book 40 appointments other weeks and, the premium isn't as good. But over time, it just it settles into a real nice production. As we see every month, we see you consistently in the top 10, right?
Yeah, and like I said, I mean, I don't write 23,000 every week. That was it. A lot of it is just, as you go out and you're meeting with families, think about planting seeds. It's a lot of it was a culmination of planting seeds through through families that I've been meeting. I mean, there's times where I've done an ERS sheet in a home on a family that I didn't even write the policy for them. I just say, did your agent do an emergency response system for you? Oh, they didn't. Oh my gosh. And I'll just write down the policies that they do have and then call their referrals. So it's like just constantly trying to find ways that you can help the client or serve them, and just asking questions and having that heart to serve. Not so much like, how can I make a sale? How can I get this appointment out of the way? But really just asking enough questions and caring enough to figure out how can I help this family.
Absolutely. So when the pandemic hit a year ago, everyone was freaking out. We can't go into homes and blah, blah, blah. And so how did you handle, when shutdown happened, how did you handle, like, did you start doing telesales? And then at what point did you figure out that you're gonna start going into homes? Like, did you go through any kind of transition like that?
Yeah, so I mean, I think it goes back to, the circle of you, controlling what we can control and not focusing on the things that we can't control. So in that moment when the pandemic happened, it's like, okay, well, what can we do? We can call people and try to, help them over the phone. And so that's exactly what I did. I just, it took a lot more dials and a lot more calls, but I was able to, connect with people over the phone and, at least talk with them and try to help them. And I was able to do that, consistently. And then as things started to transition, then we started trying to get back into homes and, hey, we're wearing our masks, we're social distancing, we have a family to protect too, but we just want to make sure, especially now with COVID, that folks are covered. So just kind of transitioning back into, hey, this is important. You sent in this request and we want to make sure that we can, get you taken care of. So just, rather than just saying, oh, because of COVID, we're not seeing people, we started just saying, so my job is to get this information to you, and a reason you wouldn't be home tomorrow around 4, and just not even bringing up the COVID thing. And then if they bring it up, okay, I certainly understand. And then finding ways to, I mean, there's times that I've, helped a family sitting in their driveway. I'm in my car, they're in their car, like finding ways. I mean, I've sold a policy through a screen door with me sitting outside, so just trying to figure ways to, still be there, because it's a lot easier to build a relationship, at least if they can see your face and know
Yeah.
that you're a real person that cares about them. So I mean, so we did some telesales in the beginning, and now I'm pretty much doing most everything, I would say, 95% in person.
Yeah, 95%. I guess when you give people a choice, they're always going to pick the easy way, so why give them
Right.
the choice, right? You do the assumptive booking where you're just assuming everything's cool, you can go over there. And now we're starting to see the vaccines are starting to go out there. Like my parents, they're in the mid 80s, they're vaccinated. So now I think it's all clear for our family to go visit my parents again. So I think as we start seeing that kind of stuff happening, I think, but look, you're a great example. Like one agent says, well, no one's going to let me in their house. It's like, well, I have an agent, her name's Jerra Gonzales, 95% she's getting in. So what's the deal? So anyway,
I think you
well,
said, like, assume, having that assumptive, attitude, just speaking it too. That's a big difference. Like, I'm so happy and grateful that I'm helping, that I'm booking 40 appointments this week and helping families this week, and just speaking it and being able to see them in person. If you don't make it a big deal, they don't make it a big deal. And just kind of learning to overcome some of those objections, like, well, I don't really want to have people over. I totally understand. I have a family to protect too. Right now, our office is closed because of COVID. So they just have us doing one-on-one home visits, and it's important that I can go over this information with you. I can't really drop off the information to you over the phone. It's something that I need to drop off to you and go over with you. And, I have my mask, social distance. Like I said, I have a family to protect too. Doesn't take long. Just want to make sure that we can go over this program to see what benefits you might be able to qualify for.
That's awesome.
And just trying to overcome those objections.
And your GMR lead mix, is it both final expense and mortgage protection?
Yes, absolutely.
And what percentage are you seeing filled on both? Like, are you getting like half and half, or 75% final expense? Kind of what do you see as the mix?
I would say it's about half and half. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this is a question I'm always curious about. Of the mortgage protection, what percentage are seniors that are getting mortgages?
It's, especially now with the refinance, the way that mortgage rates are right now, I'm seeing, I would say half of my mortgage leads are seniors. Because they're on a fixed income with Social Security and they have an opportunity to lower their mortgage payment. A lot of them are refinancing for 30 years.
I know. I know. When they'll pay it off when they're 100 years old, but so tell me
what's cool with some of the new carriers that we're working with, like CVS, now we can cover folks up to age 89. I've been able to go back on some of the leads that I've received that were 85 or 86, and I've been able to go back and reach out to them, and help them with, even if it's covering the mortgage payment for, a year, something like that, they're super grateful.
Yeah. I discovered I don't know why I was looking at GTL. We had a guy that wrote 30,000 in GTL last month that we didn't credit him on the leaderboard because he just got contracted, and GTL goes up to age 90, which is, pretty crazy,
Very cool.
Right? Age 90, and it's a great benefit, blah, blah, blah. So when, like, I have agents asking me, well, what do I do with a senior that's got a $200,000 mortgage? Talk to us about how you do the mortgage payment protection. How do you present that as an option to them when they're thinking, I can get the whole thing covered,
Yeah, so I think a lot of times when people send in a mortgage protection lead, it's like, how much for 200,000? It's not really, we're not transactional. Our job is to ask enough questions to really dig down and determine, okay, what does that realistically look like for your family when you die? So always filling out the green sheet, finding out, do they have other policies? What else do they have to rely on that offsets the cost of the mortgage? Do they have savings, retirement accounts? And the biggest question too is, if I'm sitting here with John and Mary, John, if you died last Tuesday, what does that look like financially speaking for your family? Like, what, realistically, do you think they would sell the house, or would they want to try to keep the house if possible? So, I mean, if it's, if they're a widow and it's just their kids and their kids live out of state, you might be looking at something more like, hey, if he's like, well, yeah, realistically, my kids would probably just sell the house. Okay, well, that makes sense. So if that's the case, then we really only need to cover the mortgage payments until the house sells. You don't need to be paying for a policy for the 200,000, because that's just a waste of money. My job is to help you, figure out what's going to work best for you. So when you're looking at, plus, they're not going to qualify for that anyway, but when they know that you're trying to help them save the money and look at an option that is, you know, going to cover the mortgage payments for, I mean, say it's $1,000 mortgage, you know, you can quote them 12,000 for 12 months of mortgage payments, maybe 18,000 for 18 months, and maybe 24, or even just 6 months of mortgage payments. And that makes it a lot more doable for a lot of folks that are on a fixed income. But I think asking that question, you know, realistically, do you think your family would more than likely sell the house if something were to happen to you, or when you die, really, because it's not a matter of if, but when, or would they want to keep it? You know, so a lot of it is asking questions like, so did you raise your kids in this house? You know, I mean, questions like that, I'm not just asking out of curiosity. Like, if their parent dies, are the kids going to want to keep the house? Or does it make more sense to sell it? You know, so just asking those questions to determine realistically, you know, do we need to look at trying to pay off as much of the mortgage as possible? Or do we just need to cover the payments until the house sells to protect the equity? Because if the house, you know, if that mortgage payment doesn't get paid, then the house goes back to the bank, you know. So also asking the question of, do you know what your house appraised at? You know, how much equity do you have in the home? So that you can drive home, oh, looks like you have $100,000 in equity. So if that mortgage payment doesn't get paid, the house goes into foreclosure and your family loses out on that equity. So not just mortgage payment protection, but equity protection too.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant questions. Um, you have such a soothing voice. I imagine you are like this in the home, right?
Well, I just try to be myself, you know.
I mean, I just want to go to sleep with you talking. Like, read me a bedtime story, Jerra, 'cause I'll go out like a light. It's very, very trusting, very soothing. You know, I think that has a great quality that you have.
And
Um,
I also try to mirror people, you know, I mean, there's times where I get people that are super aggressive, you know, like a grumpy old man or something will be like on the phone, like, hello, and I'll say, hey, John, you know, or
I love
like,
it.
or like a little old lady that's like, hello, and I'll say like, hey, Mary, you know, like trying to meet them where they're at, because people like people that are like them.
That's right. Absolutely. That's brilliant. That's a big nugget right there, Jerra. Well, Jerry, you got any last minute for the people out there that are trying to believe they can do it and would love to be you, would love to get your results? What do you have to say to them that can help them get overcome their fear or their lack of self-confidence?
Well, I would definitely just say, you know, reach up to your growing upline for coaching. You know, use your activity book. I mean, I'm constantly using my activity book, and I see it as a game. Like, how can I fill the white spots, you know? So just being consistent every single week as far as, you know, getting leads, doing your dials, booking your appointments, recruiting. And if you're struggling with something, reach up. You know, I mean, if it's a matter of like dialing and you feel like you're not, you know, I mean, figure out a way where you can have somebody listen to you dialing. I mean, I know with the Leventovich team, we do the Zoom. We actually dial together every single week on Zoom. You know, and we have folks that, you know, will unmute and kind of, you know, new agents can listen to people dialing. So if you're struggling with something, just like reach up for coaching, you know, whether it's dialing or, you know, in the home, you know. And if y'all want to reach out to me, I'm happy to give you my number. But that's the other thing with the association, is when you're plugged into these conference calls and plugged into the TUWC and going to meetings, you're able to network and associate with people. And I mean, there's times that I've, you know, called Robert Wilson and, you know, Gina Hawks and, you know, all kinds of people just by associating, you know. So just reaching up and asking for coaching is a big deal, and staying consistent.
Absolutely. Well, Jerra, you are awesome. You're a great example to everyone out there. And gang, here's how she is disciplined to her calendar. When I asked her to come on, you know, I said, how long can you think you could, you know, half an hour would be great. She goes, okay, I could do that. I'll have to move my dial time to 7:30 so I can make up that half hour. I'm going, Lord have mercy. If I had more agents that thought about their schedule like Jerra did, oh man. So kudos to you, Jerra. You rock, man. We appreciate you so much. My wife just appreciated so much that you reached out to her, and now you're birthday buddies. And
That's right.
but we love you. You just are always a great example, and thanks for inspiring other people. You are keep doing what you're doing, and you will make partner, and you will do this thing big. So God bless. Thanks, Jerra. Everyone,
Well, thank you. Thank you
ahead.
so much for having me on, Alex. I'm very honored and grateful. So appreciate it. I hope y'all go out there and rock it this week. Let's go help some families.
All right, Jerra. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much again, Alex. Take care, y'all.